1969. I was in college. Just spent a little time with my buddy down at the old pub. Decided we'd go to Taco John's and get us a little something to eat. About 2 o'clock in the morning. So we get down to Taco John's and there's this, and I'm not making fun of anybody here, okay? There's this kid behind the counter about Will's size, okay? He probably has the demeanor of Will. Quiet kid, nice, polite kid. He's back there behind the counter. And this great big guy, like myself, comes up to the counter and just gets belligerent with, hurry up, and I won't even repeat what he said, hurry up, get my stuff. He's just a jackass to the guy. And this young kid back there kept trying to be polite, well, sir, you know, I'm doing the best I can. He just kept on him. And my roommate and I, who are in there kind of order, just kind of watching this, you know. Finally, picture Will, finally the kid gets pissed. And he pulls off his apron, he says, okay, you and I outside, he tells this guy. And this is not a joke. And I'm thinking to myself, and I look at my buddy and I said, this kid is going to get killed. And I said, listen, we're going to go out there and we're not going to get involved in this, but we're not letting this kid get the hell kicked out of him. It's not going to happen. So if this guy gets the best of him, we're going to get in the middle of it. So they run around back, and this great big guy, he's had a few, and this kid's just mad, he's lost his temper, and we walk around back, and this kid's like this, he's back here. He's giving, and I want to start laughing. And he's just bouncing around, and this big guy gets mad, and he comes at him, and this kid just steps back and goes, ba-ba-ba-ba-boom. And this big guy's face just goes, ba-ba-ba-boom. He slips over here like this, and just, boom, 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 boom. This kid was a boxer, and he just beat the hell out of this guy. I couldn't believe it. And he wasn't really trying to win the battle. He was mad at the guy and trying to wear him out, and that's what he did. He just hit and run, boom, boom, boom. And he'd back off, and the guy would come at him, get out of the way, boom, boom, boom. And he just, I'm not kidding you. When we were done, this guy, big guy, like about my size, just laying on the ground, this kid just dusts himself off, goes back in. We walk in, he says, what can I get you? Not making that up. And I learned at that time in my life, you never judge a book by its cover, ever. But anyway, that's the strategy that was used by the American colonists. They were going to go in and hit and run, okay? They were trying to wear out the British Army. So the Patriots wouldn't attempt to win any major battles against the British, because if they had one major defeat at the hand of the Redcoats, they would be done. So basically what they did is General Greene and the colonists harasses Cornwallis and his army. They just hit and run. So are they following the rules of war? No. So in a long series of hit and run skirmishes, General Greene harasses General Cornwallis and the British Army, and each skirmish results in a loss for the colonists, but they're really not losing men. You see what I mean? They're just aggravating this guy, and they're fighting and retreating, hitting and running, okay? Now, General Greene was quoted as saying about this strategy, this is what he said, he said, quote, we fight, we get knocked down, we lose, we get back up, and we fight again. But he doesn't put him in a position to get killed. He only puts him in a position to kind of get knocked down. You see what I mean? So anyway, that was kind of the strategy there. Well, Cornwallis just chases General Greene and the Patriots all the way through North Carolina. And finally, Cornwallis turns around and goes, holy smokes, we are hundreds of miles from our supply bases. So what has Greene done? He's hit and run and made these people chase him kind of on a wild goose chase. And the strategy is to get them away from their supply bases. This is a brilliant strategic move on the part of General Greene. So what happens now is the British have no supplies. They're hundreds of miles from their supply lines. And they just chase this phantom army, so to speak, for hundreds of miles in North Carolina. So while the Redcoats grow weaker, Greene's forces increase, because as they see the success and maybe some of the fun in this hit-and-run warfare, what happens to Greene's troops and militia? Grows. They get bigger and bigger. So while the Redcoats grow weaker, while Greene's forces increase, finally Greene decides it's time for what? A showdown. He's been hitting and running. And he's got General Cornwallis and all these British soldiers far away from their supply bases, and he's got new recruits coming in, and he decides, now's the time to get after it. I don't know why I didn't put these on the sheets, drive me nuts. But they met at Guilford Courthouse. You should have this on your sheet. They met on Guilford Courthouse in North Carolina on March 15th, 1781. So Greens decides it's time for a major showdown, and it's going to happen at Guilford Courthouse in North Carolina on March 15th, 1781. So on March 15th, 1781 at Guilford Courthouse in North Carolina, General Greene decides it's time for a major showdown from the British. He feels like he's got them worn down and out of supplies by using this hit-and-run warfare, forcing them to travel hundreds of miles. Now, what happens if his army gets beat here? South is done. Okay, and more than likely then the North is going to be done. So this is a big gamble on Greene's part. But he feels it's a time. And he throws everything he has at the exhausted redcoats, including Peter Francisco. So he turns on March 15th, 1781 at Guilford Courthouse in North Carolina. He turns and stands toe-to-toe and throws everything he has at Cornwallis and the British, including his best one-man army, Peter Francisco. I mean, they're getting after it. Now picture this. Francisco is on horseback, only he has a sword. He's swinging it in every direction during each charge of the British soldiers. He's just on top of the horse, swinging like crazy. In one single charge, he kills 11 redcoats with his sword. Peter Francisco, this great big guy. He's on his horse, and all he's got is a sword. And he's just charging one time after another. And according to written records, in one single charge, he killed 11 redcoats with his sword in a charge during this battle. Well, during that charge in which he killed 11 redcoats, he was bayoneted in the leg by a British soldier. And it went right through his leg and pinned it to what? The horse. Pinned it to the horse. So during that charge in which he killed 11 redcoats, he is bayoneted in the leg by a British soldier, and it pinned his leg against the horse. Well, who's on the end of the bayonet? The British soldier. So he basically, as he gets that pinned, he just reaches down and forces that bayonet out of the horse and his leg, turns around and kills the soldier, and then escapes. Kills the soldier and escapes. This guy was incredible. Well, it's a hell of a battle. At the end, 530 redcoats have either been killed or wounded. 530 have either been killed or wounded. But American forces losses total about 300. So it was a victory, but we still lost, some men there. And Greene, smart enough, decides he's going to withdraw because he doesn't want any additional casualties to his men. So it becomes a victory for the Americans. 530 redcoats killed or wounded compared to 300 Americans. But it's a victory. Victory they needed at Guilford Courthouse. Now, because of the loss, the British marched north into Virginia to regroup. Okay, they marched into Virginia to regroup. So the brakes have been slammed on the British advance in the south, because what have the British troops done? They've withdrawn from the south and are going into Virginia to try to regroup because they got their butts kicked. And they're tired, right? And they don't have any supplies, right? So they have to regroup. So we stopped the British advance in the south, and it's done from Nathaniel Greene's strategy. Now, the end of the revolution will be in Virginia. So this will be, it'll be in Virginia where the end game of the revolution will unfold. And the battle that we're going to talk about tomorrow that was a crucial battle in the Revolutionary War was the Battle of Yorktown. Okay, so we've set it up here. Do you understand how we stopped the British advance into the South? They're into Virginia regrouping, and we're going to find them. And we're going to have a showdown called the Battle of Yorktown. Okay? All right. Perfect.